breakout player, I think this was the most obvious choice would obviously be Markel Fultz, who was sidelined last year with a very weird shoulder injury, which seems to be more psychological than anything. But he did, at least we know for sure that this summer he did spend time working on his shooting with a shooting coach. And the reports are out there that he's much better. Of course, we haven't seen this. It will be interesting to see. But even without the shooting, I did think he showed that he can be a very productive player. He's a guy kind of similar. I'm not comparing his skills to Russell Westbrook, but he is someone who can do a lot of things on the court: rebound, pass. He had a triple double in one of the games. He works hard. He's really athletic. So I do believe Marco Fultz is set for a breakout this year. I do think Philadelphia made a mistake in the playoffs last year by not utilizing him at all. I do hope that they will give him the opportunity to really show his talents this year and be a successful NBA player.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think if him and especially if Sarge breaks out as well this year, then the Philadelphia are going to be a team to reckon with, and I think that might really be what sways a free agent to come over there next year. If that situation, if those two players really do perform well and really do break out. So for a trade for the Philadelphia 76ers, I came up with two, both of them pretty minor. That's why I came up with two for them. The first one is one that was reported to be a rumor, which was Jared Bayless and a 2020 second-round pick from either the Nets or the Knicks for Kyle Korver. And the second one I came up with was Trevor Ariza for Wilson Chandler and the same pick. Essentially, Trevor Ariza is a little more productive than Wilson Chandler, probably a decent amount more productive than Wilson Chandler. At least he was this past year. And the Suns are going to be looking to trade him at the deadline. I mean, the Suns brought him in to show that they're trying to win, show Devin Booker that they're trying to win. It's going to completely end up flopping, completely end up backfiring. It was a pointless signing. Reza went there, took the money. I don't blame him at all. But they will be looking to trade him and pick up some compensation because of the fact that they're not going to be good quite yet. And I think picking up Wilson Chandler and a pretty high second-round pick is the way to do it. Both their contracts are expiring next year, so that's not a big deal. And similar situation with Korver and Bayless. Bayless is not a productive player. Korver could shoot lights out. Trading him for a second-round pick, which Philadelphia 76ers have plenty of. They're not losing anything. Cleveland's gaining on a high pick, so those were my two ideas.
Yeah, I mean, both ideas would be good pickups for the 76ers. Both of them are veteran players who have playoff experience and have been successful in the playoffs. Obviously, picking Trevor Ariza over Wilson Chandler would definitely be a step up just because of what he can produce defensively. It'd be nice to have him and Robert Covington, who are both long defenders who can stretch the floor with their three. So if you can make that deal, you do it just because it does add to your team. It'll help you win, especially in the playoffs because of the defense. It'll help you guard Boston. It'll help you guard Toronto, so you go ahead and move on with those trades.
I mean, hell yeah, and the Sixers could really complete both of these trades. They have so many second-round picks that it wouldn't even be a big deal. If they feel that they could really win a championship or compete for the championship and go for a deep playoff run, why not? If both of these teams are willing to do it, why not pick up both of these players, go all in?
And the last team we are going to discuss is obviously the Boston Celtics, who are anyone who would predict that they are going to have a fantastic year this year. Last year's record was 55-27, and that was without Gordon Hayward for the whole year and without Kyrie Irving at the end of the year. The Celtics obviously made it to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals without those two players and, had a chance to win Game 7. They decided not to give the ball to Jason Tatum in the last 6 minutes, so they lost. They are projected to win 50. Vegas has their over-unders at 59.5. I am going to be optimistic here. I would bet the over, especially if everyone stays healthy, just because the Celtics are going to be a very, very difficult team to beat. I love the lineup that they can put out there, especially against the Warriors of Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, and Al Horford, which I believe would be a very, very difficult lineup to guard against and a very good defensive team.
Yeah, I have them set at 60 wins, and yeah, I mean they just have an embarrassment of riches in Boston. That whole roster in general, everything that Danny Ainge touches seems to turn to gold. So very hard to argue there. I think they should win at least 60 games if everyone could stay healthy, and they really should have no problem going with making a deep playoff run and probably making the finals as well.
Yeah, I mean, everything. I will argue that everything there hinges on the injuries, but even they have shown that even their depth, the players that are coming off the bench, Terry Rozier, Marcus Smart, Marcus Morris, Aaron Bates, all these guys can produce. They all can come in. They fit the system. They have a really good coach. So even if Kyrie, who has missed games almost every season, does get injured again, they will have Terry Rozier to come up, fill those minutes, and they will be a successful team. So even if one of those players does get injured, I still see the 59.5 being a safe bet to bet over. For a breakout player, I have nobody, just because I do feel like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum kind of have reached that point. I mean, Jason Tatum was a real good player. He played in the Eastern Conference finals. He played well. He dunked on LeBron and stared him down, which I thought was his breakout moment. It would have been nice if he had the ball more in his hands at the end of the game, but he didn't. I think it'd be kind of unfair to put Jason Tatum as a breakout player because he might have already reached that point. Jaylen Brown, I do believe, is going to improve, but he's improved consistently every year. And unfortunately, I don't see his point totals jumping up to anywhere in the 20s. Not because he's not capable, because he might be, but because, adding Gordon Hayward might... I don't think it's actually going to take away any minutes from him. I do think Brad Stevens is going to be able to stagger the minutes quite well, where all these players, all these wings are going to get good minutes out there. I just think that at the end of the day, he's not going to get enough potential shots to be able to average 20 points a game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Terry Rozier breaks out with another team if they end up trading him, but we'll see. I mean, Jason Tatum might really improve on his numbers a lot, especially if injuries do happen. I agree with you about Jaylen Brown that, I don't see Jaylen Brown's numbers improving. Obviously, I could see him improving in the skill set and especially on the defensive end, but really becoming an elite defender. But yeah, there's not going to be a lot of the ball to go around if everyone stays healthy enough for at least these players' numbers to improve. But it'll be very interesting to see how those minutes are managed. You guys are not gonna you guys are probably not gonna like the trade I have come up with for the Boston Celtics, and I know you won't like it. Yeah, I know my brother won't like it, but I have two options here, and I mean I refuse to have the Celtics trade for Anthony Davis because I don't think that he won't be available at the earliest next offseason. So I refuse to come up with the trade for Anthony Davis. So here goes nothing. I have two options. One is either Andre Drummond for Gordon Hayward, and the second one is Andre Drummond and Reggie Bullock for Rozier, Smart, Marcus Morris, and Aaron Baines. Go ahead and kill me.
Yeah, okay, I'm definitely not doing the first trade. I will put this, I was listening to a podcast, I believe it was Bill Simmons' podcast, where he did bring up that an interesting trade might be Jimmy Butler for Gordon Hayward, which I will ask you for your thoughts on that. But I'm also going to respond to your Celtics receiving Andre Drummond for Terry Rozier and Marcus Smart and other players. I think, first of all, that kills their depth. I do think that one of the good things of the Celtics is that they are able to have those players off the bench, especially if people get injured. You have these players that you can throw out there who have shown us that they can perform in the playoffs. So I don't want to lose Terry Rozier and Marcus Smart and Marcus Morris just to receive Andre Drummond back. I do believe it is a terrible fit to add Andre Drummond to his team. I think he's somewhere who, even though he showed he's a good passer, I don't think he fits the modern NBA. He's not a modern NBA center. I mean, I know you've mentioned this before that he has improved. There's reports that he's improved his shooting. I do not believe them. Unfortunately, he's one of the players that I don't think actually improved his shooting because, he was as bad as a free throw shooter like Shaq, and I don't think Shaq would ever be able to step out and shoot three. Now, if I'm wrong, I will have to publicly apologize on this podcast. But, and giving up Gordon Hayward earlier, it seemed like giving up on a wing who fits in today's NBA, who can do a lot well, and it's Brad Stevens' boy, of course. So, yeah, I don't like this trade. I'm not an Andre Drummond fan, but I would want to hear you respond about a straight-up deal of Gordon Hayward for Jimmy Butler.
I don't think I do Gordon Hayward for Jimmy Butler simply because of the contract situations. And I know Gordon Hayward's coming off a terrible injury, but before that he was a healthy player, and he's a much more better complementary player than Jimmy Butler.
How about if Jimmy Butler agrees to resign before the deal?
I would do it, but I'd still be pretty skeptical. I'm worried about Jimmy Butler and the minutes he has played in his career and some of the injuries he has suffered. I probably would take that chance and trade Butler for Gordon Hayward, but I would be pretty skeptical just because of I think that Gordon Hayward's attitude also might be a little better than Jimmy Butler's as a complementary piece, specifically considering the fact that if Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown become superstars, now Jimmy Butler becomes third or fourth fiddle, and I don't know how he would accept it. I don't know how he would like that. And on the other hand, I think Hayward might not even accept it, but I think he might relish in that and really play that role extremely well as he gets a little older. So
I actually agree with you here. I do think, and I actually would argue that I do believe Jimmy Butler is a better player, but I do think that the fit of, first of all, Gordon Hayward's a much better three-point shooter, over 4 or 5 percentage points, so I think that's important for the Celtics. And I also agree with you on the fit thing, that it doesn't seem like Jimmy Butler is the greatest player to play with and to play for. I don't think Gordon Hayward needs as much shots. I think Gordon Hayward would be very happy with being able to receive good passes and be part of a team game. So I do think that the one improvement, of course, for for Boston there would be that they do get a very good defender, which is better than Gordon Hayward. Not that Gordon Hayward's a terrible defender, but he's just not as good as Jimmy Butler. I do think it'd be a great deal for Minnesota, though, because at least for Tibbs, because they would get a player who would help them compete for an 7th or 8th spot in the West.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the only reason why I would do this trade is because I do feel Butler is the better player. But yeah, I think the move would maybe backfire in them 2 or 3 years down the line.
Or next year, because he can come in and be the locker room killer. There's a potential that he is a locker room killer because he's been on 2 teams where it ended pretty badly. So maybe he's the person who's led to this bad endings.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's going to be a very interesting Atlantic division, the only interesting division in the East. But I would be I am excited to see at least the top 3 players in the top 3 teams in this division. If they're on, I would definitely watch them because all 3 of them seem exciting. Even the Knicks, even though they're not going to be a good team next year, they do seem like they might be turning around and having a little bit of a brighter future. We are going to continue our podcast next week with the West, which I believe all 3 divisions are going to be really interesting to talk about just because of all the talent that is in the West.
Yeah, definitely much more interesting than these Eastern Conference divisions.
For sure. As always, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever else you get your podcasts. We are on Stitcher. We are on SoundCloud. We are on all the various media platforms. Also, please follow our Instagram at NBA Trade Zone. And it is October, and as promised, we are going to start posting some articles. So be on the lookout for those articles on our Instagram page where you can link to our website where our articles are going to be published.
All right, yeah. Please let us know what you think, and let us know how you think Andre Drummond will fit on the Celtics. I'm kidding.
And rate and review us if you like us. Those always help.
All right. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.